Hi, everyone. It's Mitch here with Al McMorty and Jay Briggs. Week 6 NFL season?
Six.
Week 6 of the NFL 2022 season. Man, it is flying by and crawling at the same time. But it is. I've been through the gauntlet with this NFL season. Just this past weekend alone. I mean, I had my highs and my lows. But Al, how's it going? Normally you slaughtered the NFL.
It was kind of a weird week for me. I mean, if you watch this show, I was 9-6 with a push. I pushed the Bears here on the show. But my premium plays, the top plays, all did crap. I was 2-5 in the NFL on the top plays. And it all came down to the Commanders against Tennessee. I had Washington and the over, and they got first and goal on the 1 yard line. If they get it in, I've got a good day. If they don't get it in, I have a bad day, and they didn't get it in. So
I had Tennessee. Wins. It was one of my few that went my way. Jay and I had it out at halftime of that game, and I saved him a couple bucks in the process. I reminded him that the Indianapolis Colts felt they had a better chance to win with Matt Ryan as the quarterback than Carson Wentz. And those guys get paid to evaluate that stuff. A lot hanging on it. But I don't know if our stream notifications are working or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Everyone can see the replay. But where's my remote control? Turn on the. Anyways, Jay, how about you? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. NFL season, we're doing all right. Not doing as well as I would like to. Overall, my best bet though is 10-4 overall, so that's on a good note. I had a bad week last week as well, 2-5, but that was one of the craziest 2-5s you'll see, man. Like every game on the fringe, and I just was on the wrong side. Cleveland, Washington, Seattle, but the name of the game, new week, ready to smash it, improve those numbers, and let's get it.
It's funny. It's like, every year, during baseball, people are like, I can't wait for the NFL. Oh, it's so much easier, whatever. I don't know what NFL they're watching. The only one I know that kills on a consistent basis is Al. Most people get it handed to them in NFL. So we'll have the sport that most people quit betting. The people that I know that have quit betting altogether is college basketball, and that one is right around the corner.
That's one of my favorites.
Well, everyone says that now, but it's the king of the meaningless basket is college basketball. It is the king of kings when it comes to the meaningless score. These guys will throw up the 3-pointer at the buzzer after, not doing anything for 2 minutes. They'll just sit around and do nothing. And at the end of the game, they'll just throw it up and it'll go in. It happens all the time. But, yeah, NBA, of course, starts next week. When we're doing next week's show, NBA will be in action already.
Yes, sir.
And as we kick it off on Thursday, we've got the Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders, a game that's made for Amazon Prime. It is about as bad as it gets. Al, what do you think of this thing?
You know what I think of this game. I don't. Carson Wentz is going to screw me again, but I have to take Washington here. Thursday night road teams currently on a 24-12 run. The Chicago Bears are a wallet-breaking 2-13 ATS versus Washington when they're not getting more than 3 points, including 0-9 ATS at home. Right now, you're going to see the number at Pick'em. You might even see Washington favored. I'm going to take the Commanders at pick.
Jay, a little Carson Wentz for you.
He burnt me last week, man. But as Big Al said, the right play for me, in my opinion, is to take him again. This current season, they're an awful 1-4 against the spread. I know the Sharps. Mitch claims this is the Sharps' favorite team, but the Bears' offense is terrible, and all they can do is really run.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
You think it would be better if they had Carson Wentz and the Commanders had Fields? Do you think if they swapped quarterbacks that the Bears offense would be better or worse?
About the same.
Oh.
Because Justin Fields is not passing the ball. Like, he's not throwing the ball downfield. They don't trust him at all to throw the football. And I don't know if the run game here in this game is going to get it done. I think Washington does have some big playability. As trash as Carson Wentz is, he does have big playability. And we seen last week with the one over top. I think we can see them.
I mean,
this
that
is going to
was
be a terrible game.
coverage. That was a blown coverage of blown coverages.
Yeah, man, but just
what the hell was he doing on that first down play at the 1 yard line where he just throws a bloop?
There's always there's one play a game for Carson Wentz where you say, "What the hell is he doing?"
One. He'll
throw a left-handed pass. He'll do something crazy, and you're just like, "I have money on this guy."
I know Al was at the Rams game, but there was a play in this game on that final drive by the Commanders. The Commanders had their two biggest plays of the drive were both penalty aided. One of them was a third and very long where Carson Wentz, got pasted, and the Titans guy turned around because Wentz threw the ball at the last second. The Titans guy turned around. He accidentally stepped on Wentz, and they called 15-yard roughing the passer because Wentz was laying sprawled out on the ground, and the guy didn't look where he was going. And the other one, the pass interference at the end of the game it wasn't even close to pass interference. It was not even a remotely catchable ball. I mean, it hit the stands.
Yeah. I don't know. Definitely not my favorite game, but and terrible that it falls on a Thursday standalone. So, but I think I'm on Washington. I lean Washington here on Thursday.
Let's say Bear down, Chicago Bears. You're the pride and joy of Illinois. I don't see any other way to go in this thing than the Chicago Bears. The Commanders are so bad. They're so bad. Is this game on today? What's going on here? What channel is it on? Fox? I don't know.
It's on Fox at 3:30.
Oh, so I missed it. It starts in an hour.
Yeah.
All right. Wondering where the hell the game is. As I like the Bears in this one, I'm telling you, the Bears have always been like this ball hawking, weird bounce. All of those things, that kind of defense, super opportunistic, super taking advantage of all the little chances, all the weird bounces, all those things that always seem to go the Bears' way, especially at Soldier. And Carson Wentz is a creator of those types of plays because he refused, like Jay said, he went over the top and he found the guy that was wide open and all that stuff. And yeah, he did. And actually he threw a couple completions in that game. Legitimate completions, but the bulk of the time he didn't. And the bulk of the time, he held on to the ball too long. And a lot of those different, scenarios took place in that game. And I'll tell you, I think Wentz is horrible, man. He is horrible. And against this Bears defense, he's just going to be turning it over. I think the Bears scored 2 defense or special teams touchdowns in this game. I don't even see how any other way around it. This guy stinks. Even Ron Rivera is calling him out now.
Yeah, he did call him out. He said, "What separates him from the other quarterbacks in your division?" He said, "Quarterback." Which, in hindsight, and when you're looking at it, is crazy because my Cowboys are starting Cooper Rush and the Giants are starting Daniel Jones. So
both of whom are better than Wentz.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Man. The Sharps love the Commanders. They love the Commanders. Al has been on the Commanders a few times because I was on them a few times with
I've been on them twice, I think, or is it either? I think twice.
We were both on them against the Cowboys. We lost that one. That was a mound of disappointment. Then this past week we were split on them, and now you're back on the horse. But it's not a circuit pick for you or anything. Right?
Oh no, this is the third time. Yeah.
The Commanders are on the do not pay no mind list as far as
1-4 ATS so thus far. So they have not been a money team. But
but that usually has a way of balancing itself out.
Of course. Always.
It usually has a way. Not always, but sometimes it does. But normally it's these sharp teams like the Commanders, the Jets, the Browns that have
there's always one team that just loses and loses and loses, and the Sharps will go back to the well again and again and again with that team, think, oh, this is a good situation. It's never a good situation, but you have to look at the whole, not just one of the parts.
Yeah, but when that part is the one that's costing you football games.
No, I know, but I mean, it's shit happens, right? I mean, I just look at the entire enchilada. I mean, if my picks here are 54-24, I'm not too concerned that maybe, I've had 3 or 4 losses on the Commanders.
The Browns, someone in the comments saying the Browns covered for me last week. They didn't cover last week, the Browns. They missed the
Browns on the show they did, because it was 2.5 on Wednesday when we talked about it.
But on the in reality,
on Sunday they did it.
Sunday
we'll get to that San Diego Charger coaching decision or Los Angeles Charger coaching decision.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing? I mean, that was the craziest. What was it? 4th and what, Jay, on that play?
I forget, but it
Did you
was.
see it?
And
Al,
you're at
did you hear about
midfield,
this?
like you got to punt that.
They were at midfield.
I didn't pay attention to the.
or like
I didn't pay attention to that game.
Yeah.
There was about 3 minutes left to go in the game. The Browns had no timeouts. Okay, it's less than 3 minutes left to go in the game. Like 2 minutes left to go in the game. The Browns had no timeouts left. It's 4th and 3 or 4th and 4
from about their side of the field.
Yeah, it was like on the 50-yard line. It was right around midfield, and the Chargers went for it. And, of course, they didn't make it. And then the Browns got the ball, and they made a few completions and, still missed the field goal. But it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyways, we got the Saints and the Bengals. The Bengals now 2-3. That tough loss there against the Ravens, that happened in the last second of that game. Game that went right down to it, right inside the number there at 3. We did the halftime, Jay and I. It was a very quiet halftime show for those of you that missed it. We didn't really say too much. We were kind of like sitting there in a very low-scoring game that we both knew was probably going to be decided by 3 points or less at that time. And I think we nailed it. I think we just took the under.
We took the under and nailed it. Yeah,
and that's it. It's like this is another under. The Saints now 2-3 on the season. This is not what they were hoping for coming in. Al, what do you think of this one?
I'm going to take Cincinnati here. Back-to-back road games off a loss, and on the front end of the back-to-back road games, now they're installed as a road favorite. Road favorites off a road loss are 62-33 ATS against an opponent off a straight-up win. I'll take Cincinnati minus the 1.5.
Jay, how about you?
I'm on Cincinnati here in this game too. New Orleans did look good last week, but I think that was more to do with Seattle's game planning for Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. And then you have the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill, have arguably the game of his life come in there. When your game, that's a totally different than what you game plan all week. So I think it kind of just caught them off guard. Here, Cincinnati will have that in their game plan, that Taysom Hill will get some looks. I think that, so I like them on the money line, and I like them with the 1.5 as well. But I think they win it by a touchdown. New Orleans is still kind of banged up, and I just think last week was more of the game plan that the other team wasn't prepared. So I like Cincinnati here to bounce back against that loss from the Ravens.
I thought Cincinnati played well enough to win in that game in Baltimore too. I thought, that they finally got their kicker back in gear, and that's going to help them a lot. These NFL games have been super close this season. A lot of these, a lot of the games that look tight have been tight. And him kicking inside the dome is only going to help him and help his confidence here as well. The Saints, Alvin Kamara just doesn't seem to have that breakaway speed anymore. He seems to still be good and shifty and able to get some decent sized runs, but he doesn't have like that breakaway, take it to the house speed anymore. And it happens fast that these guys lose it. still really good. Maybe he's banged up. I don't know. But, the Bengals went to a really short passing game last week, something we haven't seen a lot from them.
They're 32nd in yards per play right now, which is crazy because they were first last year.
The Bengals?
Yeah, so they're, like you said, they're dinking and dunking right now.
They're dinking and dunking because that's what's available. And Joe Burrow is, they can't leave him alone in the pocket, because he gets destroyed, and he is the future. And it's like you can't have him be the next Joe Namath, where it's just, 3-4 years into his career, he's just, he's mush. That is what happened to him. But I'm with you guys on the Bengals in this one. I think they're just the better team, top to bottom. We go to the Colts against the Jaguars. Man, it seems like these teams play each other every week. But it's the Colts, Texans, Jaguars. These teams are all, you can just mix them around, right? And pick them out there. It just seems like they all play each other, nobody else. Colts coming off of the win. 2-2-1 on the season. The Jags, I'd have to say they're probably disappointed at 2-3, especially last week's loss against the Texans. But Matt Ryan looks a little shot to me. Al, what do you think of this one?
Well, the first meeting was an extremely low-scoring game, 24-0. The Jaguars won that ball game. That was actually the fourth straight meeting between these two division rivals that has gone under the total. And I think the knee-jerk reaction would be to take the under in this game as well. When you take a look at what the two teams have done lately, they're both coming off unders as well. But NFL division games have actually gone over the total 55% of the time. If the season's previous meeting went under, if both teams are coming off unders, and overall the team's last three meetings have also gone under. So it's just a contrarian play. I'm going to take this over the total of 42.5.
Now, it pains me to say this because when they played that 24-0 game, the Colts were my best bet that day. And that still pains me to this day. But I'm on the Colts here in this game. The Jags, man, I was high on the Jags this season, man. But these last 2 weeks, man, they have just made me just keep downgrading them. They had 4 fumbles 2 weeks ago, and then you lose to the Texans. That's just, I don't know, man. This offense looks broken. The defense looks okay for the Jacksonville, but the offense these last 2 weeks just looks broken. The Colts did get off the snide last week and beat a decent Broncos team, even though the Broncos team is overrated. I think the Colts finally bounced back. They're at home. They're not in their horror place down there in Jacksonville where they never win. They're back home. I think Matt Ryan has a better and decent game here. I like the Colts to win this game outright or win this game on the money line.
I think it's going to be a tough one here. Just the Colts averaging just 13.8 points per game, turning the ball over like no one's business. And that is all Matt Ryan, who the Colts felt was a better option for them and had a better chance to win than they did with Carson Wentz. And 11 turnovers. I mean, you cannot win in the NFL turning the ball over like that. 32nd in points scored, 26th in rushing the football. These are all like a recipe for disaster facing the Jags D that is 6th against the run. I don't know. I think the Colts get Taylor back this week. They probably feed him the ball. This thing's played between the 20s and probably is a lower scoring game. I'm going to go with the under. In a very boring game that deserves to be on Amazon Prime also. Got the Giants taking on the Ravens. Giants 4-1 this season. They're going to the playoffs against the Ravens, who are 3-2, and I mean it's kind of it's kind of a better version of the Chicago Bears, maybe. Al, what do you think of this one?
I was actually just looking up and seeing how the games are going this year compared to last year as far as how close they are to the point spread. So at this time last year, the games averaged that they were 9.22 points away from the point spread, the final margin. And this year, it's less than that. It's 8.61. So we're, as you alluded to earlier, we are seeing slightly tighter games this year than.
It seems that in the college as well, that they just.
I'll have to check college after the show and see how that's looking. But
Boy, that overtime rule is just a game changer, as far as point spreads go.
Yeah, but very few games. What we had this year, about 10 or 11 games have gone into overtime or something. Not sure. Anyway, Baltimore, New York. I'm going to take Baltimore here, the 30-12 ATS away from home versus an opponent off an upset win. If the Ravens were not getting more than 5 points in the game, of course, here they're laying points. The Giants are coming off that big upset in London, as I've alluded to a few times over the last few weeks. Teams coming off the London games are terrible. They're 2-13 ATS their last 15. If they're off an upset win in London, they're 1-6 ATS. So I'm going to take Baltimore and I'll lay the 5 points.
Jay?
So this game actually kind of scares me because I keep upgrading this Giants team, and this Ravens team just keeps blowing leads. They've blown 3 double-digit leads thus far this season, and that's just not a good bet on stat. It just doesn't sit well with me. But what does sit well with me is the Ravens in the first half, so that's where my favorite play in this game would be. I would take the Ravens laying the points in the first half, which I think it would right now is sitting at 3. I love them. I think they will be going into halftime up a touchdown. But full game-wise, I would still lean the Ravens, and hopefully they can stop letting up leads going into the second half. They did it last week. They were up 10 at half or in the first, and then they were up 10 in the first quarter, and they let Cincinnati back in the game. We know what they did against the Dolphins and the Bills. So it's been a tough team to bet on, man, especially watching the games, man. But I still lean towards the Ravens. The Giants did look good last week in the second half, which scares me full game. They came roaring back against Green Bay in the second half and won the game outright. But I don't know. I don't think the Giants can come in here and continue to just manhandle teams and run the football that effectively. I think the Ravens win this game here outright and by touchdown.
This might be one of my stronger plays, the Ravens this week against the Giants. The Giants just match up perfectly to be the patsy here for the Ravens, who are the king of bouncing back from the non-cover. They are really good at it. It's like they're really good at 2 things: preseason and bouncing back from the cover. And they are really good at those things. And the thing here is, one thing the Giants are lousy at is throwing the football. And another thing they're lousy at is defending the run. So the Ravens really don't throw the football, so that they don't defend the pass well this season, and that's why they've been susceptible to those comebacks. It's like when teams are rushing the football and playing that balanced attack against them, they're fine. When teams decide they're going to open it up and throw deep down by 20, they've been giving up the plays, and that's why they are there against the pass. But the Ravens defense against a sloppy ass quarterback like Daniel Jones, who's, when I said Wentz, Jones was immediately mentioned as being in the discussion there. The Ravens are second best in turnovers, creating 11 turnovers. And Daniel Jones is a guy that's probably going to help them pad that stat a little bit. I think they got a shot to become the best turnover team in the NFL. Daniel Jones is just the man for the job. Saquon Barkley is nursing a shoulder as well in that one, so should be a good one. I think the Ravens. I think they're a candidate for being one of my top plays. Last week, my top play ended up being Buffalo Bills. Got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the 49ers. Now, the 49ers actually looked a little bit better last week than I thought they were going to, but then again, they're playing the Panthers. They're doing the tour here of the AFC South with the Panthers and the Falcons, so they're drawing a little bit of an easier schedule, but the Falcons continue to roll against the number. Perfect 5-0 now. Al, how often do teams go 6-0 against the number in the NFL?
Well, not often. They often don't go 5-0 either. But yeah, you're right. They're the only lone undefeated team against a spread. The problem is that they're now playing at home, and home teams that are 5-0 ATS, they've only covered in week 6 36% of the time. So I'm going to take San Francisco. I like the way the 49ers are playing here. I was just trying to take a look at San Francisco's schedule coming up. After this game, they've got a great matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, so I really can't wait for that game. But I'm going to lay the points here with the 49ers are playing really well.
Jay?
Now, y'all know, man, I've been on ATL all season. I was riding them 4-0. I didn't bet the last week personally, but I leaned towards the Buccaneers. I don't know. I was trying to catch them on the right time, and they covered. But here this week, man, I think they get run over. The 49ers are just one of those teams that just maul teams. They're really physical. They in your face. They beat you up. And I think they'll just out physical this Atlantis team, who's better than they're getting credit for. But at 5.5, I just think that the 49ers win the game by at least a touchdown. They'll be more physical in this game. I think they turn over Mariota here. I don't think I got to check the injury report to make sure Cordell Patterson is in. But even if he is, he's still banged up. I think the Niners dominate later points with San Francisco.
San Francisco defensive numbers are off the chain. We've talked about DeMeco Ryans a million times here, and man, there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking at this guy. You think the Panthers go with a defensive coach again, or do you think that the Commanders go defense again? Because I don't think you take that Commander's job. I really don't.
I wouldn't.
Number 1 in yards allowed, number 3 against the pass, number 1 in rushing yards against, number 1 in scoring against. They've forced only 6 turnovers, but I think 3 of them at least have gone all the way for a touchdown. So, I mean, this team is exceptional. The Falcons don't throw the football at all, and that is the weakness of the 49ers defense, where they're only 3rd ranked in the NFL, allowing 177.8 yards per game. I don't know. I think that this one is a little bit of a mismatch. I think it's all it should all take place on one side of the field. And as bad as the 49ers offense is, it doesn't really need to do much here. I think that they're able to manage the game, and the number is fairly big for a low scoring game, though. I'm going to take the Falcons and the points. Why not?
6-0 ATS. Okay.
I don't know. 5.5. It's probably there might not be 15 points in the game. If the 49ers defense doesn't score these points that they've been scoring, they're not covering spreads. All you got to do is tackle somebody.
Should be an interesting one.
They all are. Got the Packers against the Jets. And the first time I saw Aaron Rodgers play was against the Jets. Brett Favre was injured on the last play of the half, and Aaron Rodgers came in, played the second half of that game. And it was crazy. But, here they are again. The Packers coming off of a loss to the Giants. Boy, they looked thin, right? I mean, they just looked thin on offense. It's hard to say that, it's the passing game is bad and the running game is worse. I mean, but Aaron Rodgers has always been a guy that's been able to right the ship and turn these things around. I don't know. Start jumping into the stands and stuff, the Packers, it's like it becomes a mess. Al, what do you think of this one at Lambeau?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, when the Packers, are off losses, if they're off upset losses, you always want to take a look at them with Aaron Rodgers under center. They're 24-11 ATS with Rodgers under center. If the Packers are off an upset loss, including 5-1 ATS versus an opponent off an upset win, the Jets come into this game not only off 1 upset wins, but 2 upset wins. They beat the Steelers and the Dolphins. Road underdogs off back-to-back upset wins. They're just 78-100 with 4 pushes ATS. So I like Green Bay here. The lines come down to -7. Was higher earlier, so especially at now -7, I think the Packers are the side.
Jay, what do you think?
So in this one, man, it's tough to want to lay points with this Green Bay team because, like we said, their offense has just, I don't know. Last week in that London game, in the first half, they were pretty much getting the ball out quick, dinking and dunking, and they were finding some success in that. And then the second half, it just seemed like Aaron Rodgers started trying to air it out, and it just wasn't going well. They didn't really get nothing going, and that allowed the Giants to fight their way back in this one. And the Jets have looked good here, but I don't know. I just don't trust the Jets either going into Lambeau Field. Like Mitch said, I could just see this being one of the games where Green Bay is just jumping all in the stands. Just, yeah, you know, how they like to do it. I just think this is a good bounce back spot for Green Bay. It's a big line, but I don't know. Second-year quarterback and Zach Wilson still coming off that injury. I don't really trust those guys in Lambeau Field. I'm going to lay the points with Green Bay. And I lean towards the under in this game, too. I don't think we see just a whole lot of scoring. I think we see like a 24-7 type ball game.
Jets have now won back-to-back games. Won 3 of their last 4. It's crazy.
Jets Giants Super Bowl.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. What do you even call that? Subway Series something. But
it's good for the league when the Jets and Giants are playing well.
Yeah, I think it's different though playing against Skylar Thompson and Aaron Rodgers. I think there's a little bit of a difference. Can you imagine Aaron Rodgers with Tyreek Hill and Waddle and these guys that the Dolphins have? Can you imagine that? I mean, but he doesn't have those guys. He's got a terrible team, Aaron Rodgers this year. He has a decent defense, but even his offensive line is letting him down. You know, in that game, you know, when he had a chance to mount the comeback and do all this stuff, Bakhtiari, you know, false start. It's like even his guys are letting him down. But he always finds a way, and this is probably one of those games that, you know, they start jumping into the stands and they start going downhill, and, you know, why you hate watching Packers games in the sports book when there's a bunch of Packers fans there. It's nothing worse than like the Packers against a bad team or like a really good Steelers team against a really bad team, you know, having to watch that in a public place like a sports book or something. It's just nothing fun about it. It's like, I think that, you know, one thing that, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, it's documented. I'm not friends with Wade from Doc Sports at this point in my life, but at one point I was. And we were sitting in the sports book one time and his Steelers were playing, you know, and it was just like, you know, he just looked at me like, this has got to be the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just terrible, you know. The fans like going crazy because there's a big difference between sports bettors and sports fans, you know. They just look at things differently. And I don't know. It just irks me, you know, regardless. But we've got the Steelers up next against the Bucs. The Steelers had nothing to cheer about last week. The Bills dropped the opening kickoff. The guy fumbles the opening kickoff, recovers it at his own 2-yard line. They get a illegal motion penalty back to their own 1, slam it out to the 2, have 3rd and 8 from their own 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10 from their own 2-yard line, and they go 98-yard touchdown pass and never look back. The Pickett actually looked really good, you know, moving the team up and down the field, but not good enough. I mean, he was way behind the 8 ball in that thing, and then the problem is that his line wasn't good enough, and then the Bills started getting that surge up the middle on him, and he you know, basically looked like a rookie quarterback again. You know, he was just frustrated, I think, at that point more than anything else, that he just didn't have any time at all to do anything. But I do believe that what we saw was that it looked like him and Pickens probably worked together on the same unit in practice, like, you know, as rookies. So it looked like they already have a really good chemistry. And my guess is that combination for you fantasy players out there, I mean, you guys probably already know this. I don't play fantasy, so I don't know how these guys are regarded. But, man, if you can get those 2 guys, you know, you're good for about 4 or 5 years in one of those keeper leagues. Al, what do you think? You think the Steelers bounce back here against Tom Brady, who not looking his best either, you know?
No. Yeah, Tom Brady screwed me last week. All I needed was for him to not throw a completion on that last play and just kick a field goal to go up 9. But no, he has to complete that third down bullshit play. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here. It's really because of the magnitude of the loss last week. They lost by 35 to Buffalo. When you take a look at how teams do when they've lost their previous game by 35 or more points, if they scored less than 7 in that defeat, they've covered the spread 63.9% since 1990. So off that in the NFL, that's a huge loss. So off that huge blowout loss, I'm going to take Pittsburgh to bounce back plus the 8.
Y'all know Kenny Pickett is my guy. I like that guy, and I think he will be good at some point. But the Steelers' schedule, if you go look at it, they're finna go through the gauntlet. They just played Buffalo. Now you got Tampa this week, and I think they got like 2 more matchups following this one. That's around that same caliber. I'm laying the points with Tom Brady and them. Tom Brady, I don't think has covered a spread since the law. They started the year out 2-0, and since then they're 0-3 against the spread. I think this is a great bounce back spot for them. I think this is a spot where their offense finally gets to clicking. Their guys are finally healthy, and Mike Evans, Godwin. I know they kind of played last week, but I think they another week of practice under their belt. It's a long NFL season, so guys are never completely healthy. But I don't know. I like the Bucs here. I think this is a spot where they run up the score, get their offense feeling good. The defense comes off that edge, like Mitch was alluding to. The Steelers' offensive line has been struggling protecting Mitchell Trubisky and Pickett. The Buccaneers, I'm going to lay the points with them. I see them winning by 10, maybe 2 touchdowns. So I'll lay the points with Tampa.
I just can't get behind Tampa because they can't really run the football, and that's why they were unable to cover last week against the Falcons in a game that, they really should have won by a ton. Tom Brady used to chew those teams up and spit them out, just the efficient, surgical up and down the field. He doesn't even have that anymore. It just feels that he's less confident in what he's got to work with. And, I think he might be regretting coming back this season. I don't think he's enjoying it as much as he thought he was going to. I'm going to take the Steelers to bounce back and at least get a cover here. The Bills were my best bet of the week last week, but I'm going to take the Steelers here. You think Tom Brady has any buyer's remorse here, Al, coming back?
No. I think he loves the game. I think the fact that he came back shows you how much it's his life. It's what he wants to do. If his wife. Could you
see him being a GM or an owner somewhere down the road?
I don't know enough about him to know if that would interest him, but I do know he loves playing the game.
Got the Dolphins taking on the Vikings. This one in Miami. And the Dolphins 3.5-point home dogs with Skylar Thompson taking over at quarterback. Of course, we all know him from Kansas State and definitely padded our bankrolls then. But he did not do that against the Jets last week. And the Dolphins are stacked, but I don't even know who the backup quarterback's going to be for this game if something happens to Thompson. It's the second quarterback that we've seen that's, been thrown in from that emergency QB spot, that quickly in games, really quickly. And I don't know. We saw him in preseason. He was good, but he didn't look great last week. But what the Dolphins were doing last week that, if they could have avoided the turnovers and kept in just a little bit more, I think they really had a shot there against the Jets, is they were running sweeps with Hill and Waddle, just having them hand the ball and running these sweeps to those guys. And, pretty tough when they catch the edge. And Tyreek Hill also is actually a pretty tough runner on the inside. He was turning a couple of them in and running like a running back. So, I don't know. Kirk Cousins on the road is a 3.5-point favorite here. The Dolphins going to put them in those dark purple uniforms there out in about 125-degree heat. See what happens. See if these guys melt. That's going to be the strategy here. Al, what do you think?
Well, I think this is a tough game. I'm going to take it under the total. Don't really have anything super great, technically speaking, on the under. I know Miami's 17-7 under the total at home off an upset loss. Who gives a shit? But I'm going to take it under the 45.5. I think we skipped a game too. I think we forgot to talk about the New England Patriot game, which we should.
Oh yeah, we did skip it. We did. We'll come back to it after this one.
Yeah, but I'll take this game under the total. I see now Minnesota's now favored by, I think, 3.5 up from 3. So I think the side's pretty tough, but I'll take the under.
Vikings 1-4 against the number. They have not covered since opening day. Jay?
I'm on the Dolphins here in this one. It's just a lean. Like Mitch just said, the Minnesota, they're just not a cover team. They're a team that's going to win ball games. They're a team that might win their division, but they're just not a cover team. With Kirk Cousins at quarterback, they just don't have that knockout punch. And that's typically what happens with them. Detroit hung around with them. New Orleans hung around with them. Chicago hung around with them. And I think Miami can hang around in this one as well. Skylar Thompson, I know he's a third-string quarterback, but if you go actually look at backup quarterbacks this season, if you've been betting on them, you've been making money on them this season. I think with a full week of practice, with the offense tailored to what he can do, and like Mitch said, Minnesota, a cold weather dome team down there in that Miami Heat, laying points just doesn't seem like a great spot to be. Miami still has weapons out there. I'm gonna take Miami here plus the points.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miami plus the points as well. I think a lot of public sentiment, and I don't look at the money movement. So I asked this question on our live show in the morning if anyone could find out where that data comes from. Does anyone know where they get this come from? And the answer was that they listed that they get their data from, and they listed every major sports book, right, on the thing. But they did not say that this information specifically came from those books. They said that their stats and all their other data in general, their odds, come from that stuff, because we know that all comes from that company, Sports Data IO, all the other sites that show that information. That's where they get it from. And they won't really disclose where it's from. But at the same time here, I don't know. I trust Kirk Cousins on the road about 0. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in a game where I'm going to guess public sentiment is going to be on the Vikings because of Skylar Thompson. The Browns taking on the Patriots. I'll tell you what, the Browns, if you can't win that game against the Chargers last week, I don't care if it's Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. You don't deserve to go to the playoffs. You don't deserve anything. They gift wrapped that game for you. They gave you the game. This is the second time. This is the second time this season that we've seen Nick Chubb running amok and just basically they could have just done whatever the hell they wanted to do. They play for the field goal and miss it. It's like, what are you doing?
Take miss of the game.
Yeah, I don't understand what there's a few strategies that I never understand. Playing to make the other team burn their timeouts, right? Who cares? Who cares if they have their timeouts? They can use them all they want. If they don't have the ball, they can't score, right? And it's like if you put up a double-digit lead on them, the probability of them beating you is slim. Only the Cleveland Browns lose that game, right? Only the Browns lose it. And the Browns, you take back, they missed a field goal this guy he could have kicked it from double that distance. And then that game against the Jets, I don't even understand what the Cleveland Browns are doing as an organization. Probably just trying to tread water until Deshaun Watson gets back, and hopefully there's a playoff spot for them. That's what they're maybe hoping. But the Patriots are dreadful as well. Who did they beat up on last week? Somebody. They just crushed them.
They were my bet of the week last week, and I'm drawing a blank.
It was the Lions.
The Lions. Yeah, the number one scoring offense, Lions. Shut them out.
Al, what do you think of this mess?
It's a good term for it. I'm going to look back to the game last year. New England won 45-7. So the magnitude of that loss is going to gets me on the Cleveland side here. The fact that they lost by 38 points. Teams playing with revenge from a 38-pointer worst defeat have gone 28-13 ATS. Now, I'll take a shot with Cleveland -3.
Jay?
I'm on New England money line here in this one, man. People sleep on what New England got going on down there, which is cool. I like that. And like I said, if you've been betting on backup quarterbacks this season, you've been making some money. Bailey Zappi, they don't have to change the offense from Mac Jones to Bailey Zappi. They still turn around, hand the football off. Let's play great defense, schematic defense. Let Bill Belichick do what Bill Belichick does, and we'll see on the other side. If I bet the Patriots against the Packers, we cashed. Bet them last week as my bet of the day. Aired them out. Jared Goff in Foxborough is just not a bet on situation. Here we have Jacoby Brissett against the Patriots, and I don't like his chances. I know Nick Chubb has been running amok, but the Browns just find a way to lose games. And against a better coach, against an offense and a team who's playing with some confidence back-to-back weeks, I like the Patriots to find a way to win this game on the money line. So that's where I'm going to be.
Grew up in the same part of town, not too far from Jeff Bezos. We're about the same age. And a lot of I have friends that, we have friends in common and all that stuff that we grew up with. And I never really knew the guy, but I've been to parties that he's been at, whatever, but who knew then, right? Man, had I still known him, I'd be in his ear like you wouldn't even know, saying we should get to vote on what's going to be the Amazon Prime game of the week, because this would be a great candidate for that. This one would be awesome. Get to vote on what the Prime game is going to be. This one, I mean, the Bears Commanders, I think they nailed it. But I think, this one would have been definitely on the list, right, of the ones I blocked. Oh, this is a good one. I'm just going to leave this on there. Thank you. Anyways, for a very foolish reason. Okay. Anyways. The comment that's on the board out says the person's name is Truth is a Troll, and it says, you blocked my main account for a very foolish reason. Wonder what that could be. Yeah, we just block people for no reason. Anyways, I like the Patriots here. The Browns are finding ways to lose, and whether the Patriots are good or bad, Bill Belichick is a great coach, and it's like if you have a team that just finds a way to lose, this is a guy that usually finds a way to win. And I think that's just the difference maker here. I'll take the Patriots. I'll just take them getting 2.5 points. I just take them on the money line. I don't even think we need any points at all in this one. I think they win this one outright. Go to our next game. I'm just going to leave that up there, that comment. Just leave it. It's a good one. We got the Seahawks taking on the Cardinals. The Seahawks, I mean, I lost that game last week. I had the Seahawks for one of my picks. It's like, how did I not win that game? How did I not cover that game? It's like,
I don't know.
How do you not, like, how do the Saints not, like, move the ball down the field and kick the game-winning field goal? How does that not happen in that game? I have no idea. Yeah. But I lost that one, and I'm dumbfounded. Anyways, the Cardinals, I lost that game as well because I bet them on the money line. Ooh. An idiot. Yep. Well, I was in Vegas. I was up. I was on a heater at the craps table. They have the TVs above the craps table. There's only 3 games, going on. So I've got all the games going, playing craps. Yep. Plus 190, the Cardinals were. I also had a parlay, a money line parlay of the Cardinals and the Seahawks. So I had lost that parlay. So then I went and bet the Cardinals again, straight up on the money line. I don't know what I was even thinking. Anyways, I won't be caught doing that again. Seattle against the Cardinals. Seattle, generally pretty tough building.
Yeah, but their defense isn't tough. Their defense is giving up 30.8 points per game. That's second worst in the NFL. Now they're installed as a home underdog on Sunday, and NFL home dogs of +3 or more points that are giving up 30 or more points at game 5 forward. They're 40, 71 ATS. So I'm going to take Arizona, and I'm going to lay the 3 points.
In this one, I like the over here in this game. Like Big Al just said, Seattle's defense is terrible. And Arizona's defense, it's okay, but it can be had. And Seattle's offense is better than a lot of people are getting it credit for. So I lean towards that. But I also lean towards Seattle on the money line. Like I said, the Seattle team is better than we give it credit for. And Arizona, in that same breath, is kind of like Cleveland. They just find ways to lose ball games. This Arizona team, like, they have potential. I know they have DeAndre Hopkins coming back, looming. Probably not this game, but soon. But I just think this is a bad spot for them. Seattle is not as bad as people think they are. Arizona's not as good as people think they are. And I think Seattle wins this game here at home. The building's going to be loud and rocking. Give me Seattle on the money line.
It's a tough one. I like the over. I just think we'll see plenty of points in this one. Seattle defense, like Al says, Civ. Cardinals will move on them. And I really like the way the Seattle's running the football. That Rashad Penny is a good player. You don't see, like, back in the day, running backs were everything. Now they're not anymore, but this guy could have played, in any era and been really, really good. And if he was on a better team, you'll hear other people saying what I'm saying about him. But this guy's putting up numbers like every single week. Last week, he had 8 carries for 54 yards. Super effective. Walker got on the field, though. 8 carries, 88 yards from Michigan State. So Seattle's starting to run the football.
While Geno's leading the league in passer rating. So
3 touchdowns, no interceptions last week. Oh, Penny's out for the season. So
yeah,
that's why Walker's playing. All right, so there goes that. I still like the over.
I still like Seattle to win it.
Oh, it's a good thing we did this show. Kenny Walker, not a bad guy to have as your next man up. He scores a lot of touchdowns. Michigan State, he had I think more than one 5.
Michigan State.
He had 5 touchdown games type guy.
Oh, he kicked Michigan's ass.
Did. The Rams taking on the Panthers. Rams 10.5-point favorites in this one. They have looked anything but like a team that you should be laying 10.5 with. Al was at the game, sent me some pictures of Jerry Jones. I actually know someone else that was at that same game. Had I known, I would have hooked them up. But one of my partners at our website, Nathan, was at the game as well.
Oh, I would have loved to have met
Yeah,
Nathan.
it would have been a great intro. I had no idea. Idea until after the fact. But
I'm sure he enjoyed the game more than I did.
So. He actually was in one of those suites. So
maybe I got a picture of him standing next to Jerry Jones.
It's possible. I don't think he was with Jerry, but I think had some pretty good seats though.
Nice. The Rams, they're 2-3. They've been outscored by a whopping 7.2 points per game, and now they're favored by double digits. And, over a lot of these shows, I mentioned how I don't like laying points with bad teams. And this is a classic example of what you don't want to do. You don't want to lay points with a team like the Rams. NFL teams that have been outscored by more than 5 points per game, they've covered just 25 of 72 when laying 9 or more points. Now the Rams are laying even more than 9. No chance I'm taking the Rams here. I'm going to take the Panthers plus double digits.
Now, this game for me was pretty tough because I know the Rams are terrible. That I tried to tell y'all last week that their offensive line was going to be feasted on. But the Panthers are probably the worst team in the league. Their new head coach. And PJ Walker is going to be playing in this game. While I do like PJ, I just think this is a bad spot. I lean towards the Rams laying the 10.5, even though I don't. The Rams are not a team you should be laying 10.5 with. But I do think they win the game by 2 touchdowns. This Panthers team is not good. I don't see them putting up many points. I like the under as well here, but I lean towards the Rams laying the points. I think they do fine. They just have more weapons. I think they find Cooper Kupp for some big plays. Cam Akers maybe gets a touchdown and they win it by 2 touchdowns. So that's where I lean towards the Rams. It's not a good spot to take the Rams, but I think they do it.
I think in college, people get a little too overexcited when a coach gets fired in the season, which used to never happen. It's only a recent thing because they changed the signing days and recruiting and all of that stuff. So they used to always wait till the end of the season in college, but people they think that's going to make a difference. But in the NFL, it actually does make a difference because everybody on the roster is good. Yeah, they're good enough to play in an NFL team. So the Panthers bit the bullet there on Rule, and
$42 million.
Yeah, $42 million.
I think I've got the data here. Bear with me. Okay. From 2000 to 2021, after a head coach gets fired or resigned in the NFL, would you believe it's 17-17 ATS?
I believe it. 50-50.
Okay.
The next
50-50.
game.
I wonder how many of those are late in the season, like the last couple games, and how many.
If you look, let me sort it by game number real quick. It's better early in the season, and one of the reasons is that teams still have hope. So the break point, I want to say it's game 6. Let me find what game it is here. I'm sorry, it's later than that. Break point's game 11. So if a coach gets fired at game 11 or before, or he resigns, the team then does well. Actually, I think they do well their next 2 games, but they do well. The initial game, it's 10 and 5 ATS, and then it's 7 and 12 ATS if it's late in the season. The teams don't do well. So I would say that the team, it's very small data, but the team should do okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers. I have zero faith in the Rams. It just doesn't seem like they have a lot of options.
I understand why y'all are there. I completely understand it, but I don't know.
Meanwhile, you took the Commanders. You can understand. Matthew Stafford looks terrible too.
He does.
Looks terrible.
So and also it works for 2 weeks if it's game 11 or before, and so it was, I think, whatever it was, 10-5, 11-5 in the first game. The second game they're 12-4 ATS. So you should see a bounce for this weekend for next week. Yeah,
well, no one cares about the rest of the games, so we'll just skip the rest of the schedule. There's no big games left.
The game everyone cares about, right?
You got the Chiefs hosting the Bills. The Chiefs a 2.5-point home dog in this thing.
First time Mahomes is a dog at home in his career.
The Bills coming off that big win against the Steelers. They have 1 loss this season. It was at Miami. I don't know. Chris Jones, he's taking some some 15-yard penalties that I just don't even think are really penalties, and everything that's wrong with the NFL. But the Chiefs, 4-1, they find a way. Al, any thoughts on this one?
I actually like this over the total. Buffalo 28-12 over the total when they're a road favorite of -3 or more points. Kansas City as a home dog. I know it's before Mahomes, but still 6-0 over the total their last 6. They're 27-17 over the total their last 44 as home dogs. We saw that extremely high-scoring, entertaining game in the playoffs last year. I don't see why this game's going to be much different than that one. So I'm going to take it over the total 54.
So Patrick Mahomes in his first 41 home starts has always been a favorite. And now he's an underdog against the Bills. I don't care, man. I'm fading the Bills. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I don't care about the revenge angle from last year's playoff loss. I don't care about the Bills being arguably the best team in the league. Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way in this one. The Bills secondary still beat up. I know both teams have had this game circled. It's going to be a hell of a game, but I just trust that Chiefs Nation and rocking. The Chiefs find a way to win and they pull it out. I'm on the Chiefs.
This is gonna be a good one. It's like you want to lay points on the road against Patrick Mahomes. Be my guest. Not gonna be with you. Chiefs, number 1 in scoring offense. The Bills number 2 in scoring offense. The Bills number 2 in scoring defense. The Chiefs 24th in scoring defense. But I don't think any of that stuff's gonna matter. If Tua can score points on the Bills defense, I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes can too. I like the over as well in this thing. I think we see a track meet. This is going to be, similar to that, the games that we've seen from them recently. Last year, the Bills won the regular season meeting and the Chiefs won in the playoffs. Got the Eagles and the Cowboys. I heard that game was canceled, Al. That they're not going to play that game. That it's been moved to week 19 of the season. What do you think?
Oh boy. I mean, I know what's coming from Jay, but I'm still taking Philly. So double revenge from last year. They were blown out by the Cowboys twice last season, 51-26 and 41-21. And they actually had a winning record last year. And so I've got a number of double revenge angles that play on certain teams that had winning records the previous year, but still managed to lose twice to their opponent. And those teams do fairly well in the initial game the next season. They've got records of 53-28, 72-51, and 43-23. Undefeated teams are 44-25 ATS off a point spread loss if they weren't favored by 9 or more points in the current game. And of course, Philadelphia didn't cover the spread last week against Arizona. What's the situation with Prescott, Jay?
Currently, Mike McCarthy said today we're expecting Cooper Rush to start.
Yeah, I should have just been able to figure that out because the line bumped up to 6.5. So that answers that question. I'm taking Philly.
Now, I've come in here every week so far and been pretty confident in my Dallas Cowboys, y'all, but I'm a little nervous here in this one, man. I'm not going to lie, but I'm still on the boys. The Eagles' offensive line is severely beat up. They might be missing 4 starters on that offensive line, which is not a good thing to be missing against this Dallas Cowboys defensive front. But the thing that does scare me is Philly's strongest suit is Dallas's weakness, and that is running the football. If Philly can come into this game and get downhill on us, punch us in the mouth early, it's going to be a long game. And like Big Al alluded to, we blew these guys out both games last season by 20-plus points in both games. So, and, man, this is Philly's Super Bowl. Like, they want this game more than anything. But I'm still on the Cowboys, man. I just think this pass rush gets after Jalen Hurts and them early. I think that Jalen Hurts, he's not even passing the ball that effectively. Mostly everything they're doing is on the ground. I know they have some weapons outside, but the Dallas Cowboys, they can run the football as well, as we seen last week. Cooper Rush only completed, 10 passes last week for like 100-some yards, and we won the game against the Los Angeles Rams. I like the under as my favorite play in this game. I don't think we see a lot of scoring. I think it's going to be tighter than a lot of people are thinking, though. But I would love those points in my back pocket here with Dallas. And I'm sprinkling a little bit on the money line. This game is on my birthday. Sunday Night Football doesn't get any better than this. So I'm excited for it. I lean towards the Cowboys. It's not going to be a premium because it's going to be scary, but I lean towards the Cowboys.
I haven't taken the Cowboys all season. I'm taking them here. I think they got a chance to win this thing outright. 6.5 points is ridiculous. The Eagles were dead to rights last week. I mean, they were dead against a much less team than what they face here. And I disagree with Jay that I don't think it has anything to do with the pass rush with Jalen Hurts. He's not a guy where the pass rush affects him all that much. He's a guy that you got to keep in the pocket. You've got to keep him in the pocket. If you let him outside of the pocket, that's when he kills you, because that's what you said. Like you said, they run more than they pass. And it's like, that's because he takes off. If you keep him in the pocket, eliminate that run angle that he'll have, force him to throw. He is a rag arm quarterback. He has great receivers, but the thing is, when you scramble around in the pocket like that, any NFL receiver, especially if you have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and and et cetera, these guys are going to get open if you give them time to get open. They're going to get open, and Hurts creates that time by running around and because he has the ability to do that. It's like, you take that away, he's going to be rag arm, and number 7 is going to have like 6 interceptions, and believe me, then he starts talking crap. He's woofing it. Everyone's frustrated. It gets ugly. Some shoving on the bench. It's like, this guy's talking crap about my family. He's spiking the ball in my face. It's like, this is what happens. This is exactly how it happens. It starts by keeping him in the pocket, and we saw Georgia do it to him in that championship game. We've seen everyone that's been effective against Hurts is when they keep him in the pocket. And then if they let him run up the middle, if he tries to just run up the middle, you watch that Parsons, he's going to be spying him. He's going to decleat him is what will happen. Is that you can't let him just run up the middle and dive forward and slide and that stuff. You have to, when a quarterback takes off up the middle, you have to just absolutely crack him and say, don't even think about it. And I think that the Cowboys might have the guys that can do that. But it's got to be Parsons. It can't be, you can't rely on, some of these other guys. It's got to be him. I think he can spy on him. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to try and contain with those good defensive ends that they have, keep him in the pocket. And then if he tries to come forward, just smack him down, Parsons, just decapitate him. All he's got to do is send the message once. That's all it's going to take. And this game will be over. I've seen when Michael Vick, similar situation against the Bears the year they went to the Super Bowl. They did the same thing to him, on minus 20 degree night in Chicago. He hit that turf. He wanted out. And I believe that's what's going to happen here. Anyways,
you're right.
Regardless, the offense is going to have to hold on to the football. Ezekiel Elliott looks to be running a little bit better than he has in the past 2 or 3 years.
He actually is running the ball effectively, and I love what we got thunder and lightning. Zeke pound him, and then you got.
I think being pushed. I think that Ezekiel Elliott is a guy that, like at Ohio State and early in his career with the Cowboys, is that he really wasn't pushed, and he was kind of this like, I'm above everybody, I'm untouchable. That's why he left Ohio State, is because Urban Meyer tried to manage him, and he didn't like that. He was like, "That's it, I'm leaving," And I think that Pollard's performance, and that people even saying that maybe Pollard should get the bulk of the carries, has humbled him a little bit, and it's inspired him, and he's a better player for it. And I thought he got a little too big, not just his head. I mean, in general, I think he got a little too big because he's a home run hitter type. But anyways, this should be a good one.
I can't wait.
It should be a good one. Definitely not the Amazon Prime game of the week. This is one, as a football fan, I could actually get excited about. Like a lot of these other games, I could care less, but this one I think is a good one. We've got the Chargers and the Broncos to round out the week. The Broncos, the kings of primetime this year. It's just every game is in primetime. They're 2-3 on the season, and the Chargers, really the worst coach team. If the Browns hit that field goal, do you fire the coach right immediately on the sideline? I'm not really sure. It's like, he hasn't really done anything to merit keeping him. But it's like, what a stupid. It was like, what are you doing? I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Well, I guess I have. I've watched Doug Peterson coach before. Al, what do you think of this one?
I'm going to take it under the total. The Chargers, all they do is go under at home versus division rivals, 82-35 with a push under. So it's almost automatic for me these days. I'm just going to take the Chargers under the total.
I like the under here as well. I didn't know it was 82-35. That's a crazy stat. I love that under. But I also like the Chargers because I've been telling y'all this Broncos team is overrated. Russell Wilson is overrated. And he's just proven me right thus far. He had a quote-unquote soldier procedure this past week, so even more reason, even more excuse. This offense doesn't look right. They have a bad head coach. They have a running back who can't keep the ball off the ground. They have receivers who are middle of the pack, nothing special. While on the other side of the Chargers, they are also one of the more overrated teams in the league, but they actually do have playmakers who can make plays. Like Justin Herbert is a top-tier quarterback. I know he's still kind of nursing that rib injury, but he's looked like a top-tier quarterback still. Hopefully they get some of their weapons back. If their coach can get out of the way, man, this team can be dangerous, even though they are overrated. I'm going to lay the points here on primetime, and I like the under as well. I don't think we see much from the Broncos offensively, and I think the Chargers can cover this number and they fall underneath the total.
Broncos plus the points for me. 1-4 against the number this year, against 4-1 against the number. I like 1-4 against the number in this thing. I just think that this game is close. It's one of those AFC West games, and these games always come up to these wild, crazy finishes. Crazy bounce here. We saw one just the other night, Kansas City against the Raiders. Just comes down to a 2-3 point game every single time. It's weird as a kid, we didn't have every game on TV every week like they have now. You didn't have access to that stuff. And I always use this as the example. It's like as a kid growing up on the East Coast, these are teams we never saw, so it was like all we saw was highlights, and it was always San Diego at Denver. They played every week, and it was always at Denver. Denver had those orange uniforms with the blue helmets. The Chargers had the white with the lightning bolt. The only time we ever saw them is when they played at Miami. It was the only time we would see these teams. They were generally not playoff teams either, for a very long time. But I like Denver in this one. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. Probably change my mind by the time the game rolls around.
Definitely room in this schedule that some of these opinions might change.
Yeah, we're at that point in the NFL. We're at that point in the season. It doesn't get easier. It gets tougher. And we saw that in the second half of a lot of games last week. Al, who's the next coach to go?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to get D'Amico Ryans to, if we can get, I know he's a great coach, but get Tomlin to retire a little bit early or something. I mean, I'd love to see D'Amico Ryans in Los Angeles if Brandon Staley can just be pushed out.
I think it's possible. I think another call like that one that he had last week.
I think if he just looks like a little worm. I mean, I'd like to just see him gone.
To me, honestly, it might be Hackett for the Broncos, especially if the Chargers come out and he could be out of there pretty soon. 250 on Russell Wilson, bad, overrated quarterback, bad head coach. Somebody got to go. They're not going to cut the $250 million. So
I'm going to say Ron Rivera steps down. It will be the next. You're bad mouthing your quarterback, all these things. It's like the writing's on the wall. I would say he's on the list. There's the other coach that's out there that said he would coach is Sean Payton. So he's another one that's available. But he's going to be big money.
You know who else is low key on the list? Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona.
Oh, no, he's definitely on the hot seat.
Yeah, he's on the list too.
Oh, yeah. I could see Sean Payton in Arizona.
I could probably see him there too. Good quarterback in Kyler Murray. Smaller guy, kind of like Drew Brees, can get the best out of him.
Because after Todd Bowles, I don't think they want to go with a defensive head coach again for a while. I think it's going to be tough to get that out of their system. But D'Amico Ryans, I think, is, he's going to be the guy.
Yep.
Maybe he goes to Texas A&M and coaches there.
You think Rule goes back to college?
Should. I wonder what his deal is, though, if he gets another job, if he has to give the money back.
Oh, that's interesting.
It all
$42 million not to have to coach the Carolina Panthers. It's not a bad game.
I'll take 42 million to not have to coach the Panthers myself.
Right.
But
just another college coach who didn't perform well in the NFL.
He got the bad end of the stick, though. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield as your quarterbacks, your whole run as a head coach is not going to be very well. That's just my opinion. I think Matt Rule can coach, and I think he should get another opportunity in the NFL. And I think he can do something. We've seen what he did with Temple and Baylor. He can do it, but it's hard to do it with Baker.
Well, there's a shakeup coming in college. So, I mean, there's going to be some really big jobs available. So my guess is Nick Saban probably in his last year or two at Alabama. Dabo Swinney probably takes the Alabama job, and then the Clemson job will be open.
Oh, is that the rumor? Dabo Swinney to Alabama?
That's when I'm starting. Didn't he play at Alabama? So it kind of makes sense. I think he went to Alabama. I think he played at Alabama, and I think he also was an assistant coach at Alabama. Pretty sure he has like the big Bama connection. I think his contract says like that he can't leave for any other coaching job except Alabama. Is the way that his contract reads. So it only makes sense. Yeah, he went to Alabama. He was a wide receiver in Alabama.
Wow.
And yep, he was a wide receiver at Alabama. He was a assistant at Alabama. He was a wide receiver coach at Alabama, the tight ends coach at Alabama, the wide receiver coach at Alabama again, all the way through 2000. And then he was the wide receiver coach at Clemson, offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, and then the head coach.
I just love that guy. I think he's the perfect college football head coach. Like if you could, mold, like create a coach from whatever clay, like it would be Dabo Swinney.
Born in Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow.
I would say he's the next head coach of Alabama. I'm pretty sure that his contract says like that he doesn't get docked like his bonuses or something if he takes the Alabama job. It's like the one job that it like he has no penalties if he takes. He has like it's like one of those odd clauses in his contract.
It's probably something he always wanted to do too. So yeah, I see it.
No, it's like I mean, he grew up in Alabama. That's his thing. It's not. He's the second highest head coach. Anyways, I think it'll be interesting. So Rule, probably to college, Cliff Kingsbury, Montana State. D'Amico Ryan's going to get one of these jobs.
For sure.
The Auburn job will be available too, unless they beat Alabama. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. We got plenty to talk about coming weeks, and be sure to join us every day here at Pick Dogs. Al and I are both on the drive-through tonight. Not a big schedule, but I'm doing Mitchie Pucks.
Did the baseball game start already?
Pucks is back.
Yeah, he's back. We're dropping the puck and skating onto the ice for another season.
I'm going to turn on the baseball game.
What's that?
Baseball starting.
Oh,
they got a rain delay.
Oh, they do?
Dude. Oh, well. Yeah. Seinfeld is on Comedy Central. Tidies through it. That's what I always watch. All right, thanks everyone for joining us. Make it a winning day. It's a slow time right now, but next week all hell breaks loose. So enjoy it.